We're going to have a conversation today. Oh, there we go. Camera's off. Hello. Okay, I'm doing my thing where I've got two cameras going on. I'm streaming on YouTube right now on my laptop, and I'm streaming on Instagram just above my laptop. So if I start looking up and down, up and down, up and down, it's not just the spirit sending me in all different directions, which sometimes it's that, but it might be me looking at one screen or the other. Oh my gosh, you made it for a live. Hello. Oh, somebody's here on YouTube. Okay, I'm building up my consistency going live on my YouTube channel every week, which is going to be every week at this time. And I've only missed 1 week since I decided to do this, but I haven't been on the ball with the time. And this morning I was sitting there and I was thinking, is it true that I have to commit to a definite time when I'm going to go live on YouTube each week? Because people love when I'm just random. Deborah, don't you just love it when I'm random? Hello, thank you for joining. Say hi if you're there. Let me know if you're here on replay. Leave me a comment. Tell me what comes up for you during this amazing conversation that we are about to have. Thank you. My amazing stylist, Haley, just left. She comes every Tuesday morning and does my hair here in the warehouse. So you better believe that then I'm going to utilize that hair to go live and to bring a word for you, which I'm going to do anyway with or without good hair. But it's nice to have good hair as a bonus. So I was thinking, do I need to follow through on the idea? Oh, Sam, can you turn my light on for me? I just realized we're tragically live without lighting, you guys. Imagine how good it's about to get. Can I get you to plug this one in for me? I think Haley pulled it out. There we go. Now we're getting a vibe. And yeah, nowhere and everywhere all at once. Wow, that's a difference. If you're going live without lighting, I'm just saying invest in a little light to put behind you if you want. You don't have to, but we just saw a dramatic before and after, didn't we? So, is it true that I need to follow through on the idea that I said I would go live at a certain time each week just on YouTube? Because I want to bit by bit build it into a real show here on YouTube. I'm going to get fancy graphics and overlays and banners and just have a show vibe around it, a talk show or a Katrina Ruth show or a word that's coming through show, whatever kind of show it is. And so I was making an argument inside of my head that I don't need to do that. Hi, Christopher. And that I can, just rock up when I'm ready, like 10:30 or whatever, or half an hour later. And then I just kind of went into the vision, and this is what you have to do, right? When you're considering the actions that you need to take to step into whatever it is, it's the next phase of your business, it's the next unfolding of your message, it's the new offer or the new program or the new creation that you're going to bring to life. Maybe it's a shift or a change, a transition, a transformation in an area of your personal life. What you got to do, particularly when you start to get into a little confusion or back and forth in your head, and even if it's something that's kind of like, is that even a big deal? Is it even a conversation? You need to go into the vision and you just need to ask to be shown from that place of looking back. Like, was it a good move? Was it a true move? Was it the right move? Was it the aligned move? Was it the move that I needed to make, in this case, to commit to that it's at a dedicated time? And I just straight away said to myself, yeah, it is. In this case, for YouTube, once a week. The rest of your social media platforms, you can have me when you get me. I'm not committing to any definite times. But I really see the power of the consistency of doing a live YouTube show each week. And like I just said, building it bit by bit into a show and putting some different intent behind it as far as, graphics, putting graphics on it, that makes it special. It's going to turn into something. I have no idea what it's going to turn into, but through the power of me being obedient to what I've been shown and then consistently following through on that, it is going to turn into something, and so it shall be stated, and so it shall be done, and you'll all watch it, and then we'll see what it's going to be, and I'm going to see what it's going to be as well. And it's going to be a good move, it's going to be a true move, it's going to be a God move. So here's the thing, right? I have been blessed to build and helm or be a vessel to create a coaching business that has produced multiple 8 figures for me personally and hundreds of millions of dollars collectively for my clients. And more importantly, it's allowed me to step ever more into my purpose work to be who I came here to be on earth and to really fulfill the promises, the prophecies, the destiny, etc., and empower, educate, inspire, and kick the butt of those driven, purpose-led creators and entrepreneurs out there, which is you, to do the same. And how have I done that? It's exactly what I just articulated. In fact, I would be really hard pressed to sit here today and come up with a single example for you of something that I would say is just, like the fruition of purpose and truth, and it's like epic and wonderful. And look, here, this happened. That came from a place of, I planned it down to the dot point. I knew what it was going to be. I reverse engineered the process, and then I, studiously did the steps. Now, anyone who knows me or spends any sort of time with me, and for many of you, this is you just from being in my space, obviously online. Oh, look at that. I just realized my laptop was turned down super dim. So, hey, bit more light here on YouTube. Anyone who knows me or is close to me knows that I'm a pretty studious person. I'm diligent, I'm disciplined, I'm systematic, I'm consistent, persistent, you name it, right? But then at the same time, I feel as though, or I equally could argue that I'm chaotic and random and all over the place, and I'm just kind of making stuff up as I go and doing what I want as and when I want it. And it's these two habits combined, or these two seemingly opposing sides of personality combined, that have allowed me to create a business and a life and impact others to create a business and a life that truly does come from God, from spirit, from purpose, from passion, from flow, and from a continuing, a continual walking forward into destiny, right? And here's what I mean by that. The discipline that I've cultivated over the years, and that I guess has always been quite inherent to who I am, but I've certainly cultivated it as well. And the consistency and the fact that I'm persistent and that I just kind of like do my thing and I do it on repeat and I keep showing up, that's a character trait. It's not an action that I've committed to. There've been actions that I've committed to over time for sure, as it's become evident that this is a good thing for me to do, like writing, speaking, etc. But really where the discipline and the consistency and the persistence and the continual showing up has been, that's allowed me to just keep moving forward in an ever expanding, flow of abundance, purpose, impact, wealth, etc. You name it. Really, it's been saying yes to who I know I'm meant to be, rather than saying yes to an idea that I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this, and then it's going to result in this outcome, or then it's going to get me at some point to a place of being such and such person. And the best example I can give you of what I'm talking about, and many of you have heard this story many times, but it's never a story that grows old, I think. The best example that I can give you is in about 2012, I was transitioning from being really well known in the fitness industry in Australia, and that was my first online business. So I came online in 2006. I was a very successful personal trainer. I had 9 trainers working for me. I had a booked out schedule. I had the highest hourly rate of any trainer in all of Australia. And to this day, it's still probably and this was years ago when I was charging this, like coming up to 20 years ago, to this day, what I was charging per hour, which at the time was $375 an hour for personal training. Most trainers to this day are charging, I don't know, 80, 100, 120 an hour. I'm sure, I'm making a point that's not about the money, but you kind of get the point, right? So I was successful, is what I'm saying, in terms of how I positioned myself, the results that I was getting from my clients, who I'd chosen to be, and just what I continued to anchor in. And when I came online in 2006 with my established, credentials within the fitness industry, I was established in various different ways. I was a leader within the industry. I was also, and had been for some years at that point, writing all of the marketing and business and educational sales-related tools and trainings and entire manuals for all of the franchisees of one of Australia's largest, or at the time Australia's largest, health chain. So I had written all the business and marketing stuff, and that was just what was being taught to everyone. Dana, that's so funny you just wrote that. It was like a little riff on what I just said, continue walking forward into destiny, because my blog post title for today, and I haven't actually written my blog yet, but I'll do it after this, is, where is it? I wrote it down before. Where are you? Let's have a little sing along. You're going to love this blog, you guys. It's going to go out in full in my newsletter today. The title of my blog today is Walk Yourself into the Story That Then Happened for Me. And I actually wrote that down last night as I was going to bed. I was like, ooh, that's good. I'm going to write about that tomorrow. So by the way, if you read like a little excerpt of my writing on my Instagram or wherever I pop it, sometimes on Facebook, but always on Instagram, it's always a small excerpt. And then you got to be on my newsletter, which you can get at thekatrinaruthshow.com/daily asskickery. I think that's the link. Let's check it. And that will just let you opt in to be on my free newsletter list. And then I put the whole thing in there. Yep, that's the link. Maybe somebody can drop it into the comment. Maybe it will be me. I'll just copy it over from my computer. There we go. thekatrinaruthshow.com/daily asskickery. So that's where I put the whole blog. Anyway. So we're always on a theme though. So the theme today is walk yourself into the story that then it happened to me. And that's really what this live stream is about today as well. Be the appointed version of you now. So I'd come online in 2006. I was doing lots of cool stuff as a personal trainer, and I was expanding my reach all of the time. I was positioning myself into major corporations in my hometown of Melbourne, and I was like the in-house health person, so I would charge even higher hourly rates than what I just said, but I would also do, because I would do groups, and I would do seminars and book out little churches and do seminars there and do lunchtime talks and so on in the major corporations. And I would set all that up through my high-flying one-on-one clients who would introduce me to the HR person in their business. And so the reason that I came online in 2006 was because Andy, one of my highest flying clients, who was a dear client of mine for over 10 years and who I recently caught up with in Melbourne and had lunch with actually, and it was just so wonderful. He was just, my most successful high-flying client. He was my most consistent client. He would train with me 3 times a week for an hour, week in and week out for years. The first time we met, he told me, just so you know, I'm never going to do lunges with you and I'm never going to get on the rowing machine. And I was about 25, I reckon, at the time. And I just stood there, this skinny little 25-year-old girl, and I was like, I am going to make him do so many lunges and he will be on the rowing machine all the time. And it was just like, I decreed it. And so it shall be written and so it shall be done. We laughed about that for years to come because he certainly freaking did his lunges and his rowing machine, but mainly the lunges. So anyway, my client Andy had said to me, you got to set up a website, Kat. Like, that's the thing that you've got to do to take your business to the next level. And he was always helping me with so many things. In fact, at one point, because he was an incredibly successful stockbroker for Credit Suisse, and at one point we had set up a little club with myself and my personal trainer friends, and we would all meet in a coffee shop, in a restaurant downstairs, which was in fact the restaurant owned by Enzo, my kid's dad, my ex-husband, and that's where we met. And so Andy would come and he would give us a little, like me and all my trainer friends, this big high-flying stockbroker who was my client, and he would give us a little education session and teach us about the stock market. And we had a share club, so we'd all put in $50 a week and he would teach us how to invest, and we made some good money out of that, and then we just kind of didn't keep going with it. But the point is, he was somebody that was quite impactful, hugely impactful in my life, and he was a person who I really looked up to and who respected, and I took his advice. So you can all just send him a love heart shower or an emoji, or just send a little thank you down to Melbourne, because if it wasn't for him, well, maybe I would have found my way onto the internet at some point anyway. But it was my client Andy who was saying to me, you got to do this website thing, like that's the next thing, because it's going to position you in these big companies that all your different clients work for as being, very reputable and high level and all of this sort of good stuff. And so it's going to help you to do the things you want to do, like more, corporate talks and, be the in-house trainer and the in-house health person. And I was doing some speaking at the time, and I had a lot of qualifications outside of personal training. So I was doing a lot of advanced hormonal sciences work, and I was always speaking about pressing play though, but without those words. And that's the reason I set up the first website, because he kind of encouraged me. And I can still remember standing by the squat rack training him one day, and him going, come on, Kat, that the next thing is you've got to do this you got to make a website, for your business. And I was like, I don't know where that's going to go. Like, is that even going to be a thing? I don't know. It sounds like a lot of effort, and it just sounds like kind of like a distraction, because I'm out here doing my seminars in the church halls and seminars in HP and Credit Suisse and wherever all my PT clients worked and so on. And I don't know if I need this website thing. But he was kind of at me. And like I said, he was somebody who I really looked up to, respected, and I took advice from in a lot of different ways. And on top of it, I'd been to a seminar not long before that, where it was like, you know, the pathway to whatever kind of trainer, and you have to have a website. So I built my website, and I built it out of a box. You could buy a thing online, which I think was $40, build your website in a box. And I made it so beautiful. The whole background was black, all the text was white, and there were neon colors everywhere, and I was so happy with it. And for me, it was never about selling things online or online marketing, because it was 2006. I never heard of this, right? It was my client that was at me like, you should have a website. It's a positioning thing. It's essentially a brochure, an online brochure. That's how I came online. But then I was like, I got to put some educational articles on here, and I put some like download PDFs, you know, to position myself in all the big companies that I wanted to get in with. And that certainly happened. And it did the things that I'd wanted it to do. It just gave me, I guess, a higher ranking than what I'd already certainly established and created and chosen for myself. And it was a positioning tool. But the other thing that happened, and yeah, you would have been so happy about that white text on black. It was a real, like, I don't know, it was a journey to read that website, let's say, but people obviously wanted to because they did. The thing that happened was that I fell back in love with writing. And when I was growing up in school, I was always meant to be a lawyer. That's what I studied for. That's what I got the grades for. That's what I got into at the end of school. And then I just kind of bailed out and stopped going to university. Well, I kept going, but I was selling things on the campus and pretending to my parents that I was going to university. And then I became a personal trainer. Like, that's the story in a nutshell. So I was meant to be a lawyer. In fact, my entire family of 6 of us moved from Germany to Australia when I was 16, purely so that I could be a lawyer, so that I could finish my schooling, my high school in Australia, in order to be able to get into law in Australia. So anyway, I'm glad we're here. But that's why I charged lawyer rates, exactly. And so I was always going to be a lawyer, but then at the same time, I was always going to be a writer because I loved writing. And so sometimes I would think maybe I'm going to be a journalist or something, like I love writing. And I definitely knew since I was 10 or 11 and I was reading my dad's Tony Robbins books, and all the books, all of those sort of books, but Tony's books in particular, reading them at 10 or 11 years old, it was like, oh, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make millions of dollars and impact millions of people and write and speak a lot. And so that was always there as well. And it was almost like something I didn't think about, and I just knew, right? You just know. It's just so annoying. So fast forward, I set up this website. I started writing articles for the website. And then I was like, gee, I really love writing articles. And I started to write for a lot of magazines, and I decided, you know, I was going to be able to call myself a writer. I started to tell people that I was a writer. So then they naturally asked what I wrote. And so then I had to scurry and hurry to be able to answer that properly. And that's pretty much how I started writing for all the major fitness magazines, because I needed to be able to have a good answer when people asked what I wrote. So it's interesting how when you put yourself in a position where you have no choice, and you've just decided something, or you've appointed yourself into something. Like, I started to tell people when I would meet new people, I started to tell them that I was a writer when I was a personal trainer. I was a very successful personal trainer. I had trainers working for me. I was doing major things in different companies, in fact, all around the country. Sometimes I was flown to different cities and states in order to run workshops and events. I was always hustling. I was always doing extra things. I was doing a lot of speaking, but I wasn't a writer. Except I was. Do you feel me? This was one of the first times that I really appointed myself into something. I remember deciding, I don't know where I got this from. Maybe I read it somewhere, it just came to me. But I remember deciding, what if I just told people that I'm a writer, then I'll have to become a writer? And it literally happened like that. And within a very short period of time, like a couple of months, I was making some money from writing, not enough to live on or replace my income, but I was appointing myself into who it was that I was ultimately going to become. Now, if you've been in my space for any different amount of time, or even if you've just found me, I'll let you know, I have one of the most successful coaching businesses on the internet, and have had for years, and have consistently produced the kind of money that most people aspire to and never ever get to for years now in my online business. I've launched successfully over 300 different products, courses, and programs, and unsuccessfully many others. I've spoken all around the world at major events as well as my own events. My clients for nearly a decade now have been the absolute best of the best within the entrepreneur space privately, and I've been blessed to support, mentor, and kick the butt of tens of thousands of soul-led, purpose-driven creators and entrepreneurs through all those courses, as well as through the most prolific amount of free content on the face of the internet. None of it would have happened without the fact that years before I even started, I started to step into a way of living where I was appointing myself into something that I didn't know how to do, that I didn't have a pathway for, that I didn't have a mentor for either, that I didn't have anything for except some audacious part of my spirit that was telling me, just decide that that's who you are. And what that resulted in with the online side is that the writing led to more writing, led to people finding this little website that I'd homemade in 2006. And people were finding it from all around the world. Well, firstly around the country, around Australia, and they wanted to work with me. Well, I didn't know how to help them because I had a physical bricks and mortar business, but my mind is an entrepreneur's mind and always has been. I rolled out of the womb that way. So to me, I was like, okay, well, I wonder if there's a way where I could get a group of like 10 or 12 people on a call together and I could do like a group telecoaching program maybe. The first ever online program that I sold was called The Body Incredible, which was the name of one of my first my first official blog. So the first blog was called the first business website was called kickasslifetraining.com. I think if you search the web archives, you can find some of that delightful neon and white text on black, little splashes of it on the web archives. So kickasslifetraining.com. A business coach that I then hired, like an in-person business coach that I hired, told me I wasn't being professional enough, that Kick-Ass Life Training was not a proper professional name, and that nobody wanted to see all those bright colors and that I should be using corporate navy blue. Do you know what I did? I listened to him temporarily. I didn't believe him on a soul level, but I didn't back myself at the time and I listened. So I stripped that website down. I changed it to one that does still exist for sure. You can look it up. You can just search Katrina Eden WordPress.com and find the first blog that followed kickasslifetraining.com. It's still out there, pretty sure. Eden was my first husband's surname, so that's not my maiden name if you're looking for my full history, but it was my previous name. And then from there, I launched Body Incredible, which was something that I really put a lot of heart and soul into. I put 6 months into it. I had decided I'm going to launch a proper blog. I had never decided to launch an online business because I didn't know what that was. I hadn't heard of it. And I wasn't doing anything on social media. I hadn't heard of that either. I'd heard of MySpace, but I couldn't be bothered with it. So it was a blog. It was meant to be a blog and it was meant to be about the writing. But the first ever course that I sold, this will be saved. It'll be on a replay on YouTube as well as on Instagram. The first ever online course that I sold, I didn't know it was an online course. I was just thinking about the practical reality of the fact that I had people all around the world, and mostly in my country at the time, wanting to learn from me and work with me because they'd found this homemade website that I built and I didn't know how to do that. So I looked into it and I found a company where you could put more than one person on a group call, and I called it Body Incredible Health Telecoaching, the Body Incredible Health Telecoaching program. And I sold 12 places, which is what I had decided to sell. And I think there was 2 levels, like a VIP and a regular, and one of them was around 600 and one was like 850 or something like that. And I did this 12-week course where I would do a call and I would teach on different things, and then I would do a worksheet, and then I would just help people, additionally over email and over the phone, depending on what they'd signed up with. And in the middle of running that, my future husband and future father of my children, we hadn't had any children at the time. So in the middle of that, we went and traveled around the US for 6 weeks. And I remember being in Canada and being like sitting on the lounge of his distant aunt or whatever in Edmonton, Canada, and running one of these calls. And I just remember thinking, this is incredible. Like every time I've taken a holiday or a vacation or I've gone away from my personal training business over the last, however many years, well, your income stops. And then my income had stopped stopping because I had all these trainers that were working for me. And so I was just making a little bit of money through my trainers. But now I was like, I am literally, like I remember saying to Enzo, I'm like literally just doing a phone call for 45 minutes and it's equating, like if we break down how much money I made from selling the 12 places and then split it out over the weeks, of the content, like I just made this much money just for sitting here on your great aunt's couch in Edmonton, Canada and doing a phone call. Like my life is going to change. And, I don't know if this is an interesting story because it's not exactly like groundbreaking information that you can make money selling things on the internet now, or that you can sign people up into group programs, or that you can make money from anywhere in the world, or on your couch, or in a cafe, or on the beach, or sitting on the floor of the airport, or sitting on the side of the curb in Santa Monica. I've certainly done all of these things. But at the time, it was like, I think 2008 when I did that course. It was mind-blowing to me, mind-blowing that I could be sitting on a couch of a distant relative of my partner at the time in Edmonton, Canada, freezing my butt off and making money by being on a phone call to a group of people. It was insane. And for me, it was just, well, what if I just kept doing this? Now, the thing you've got to understand, especially when you listen to or learn from somebody like myself who's been around the internet block a long time, who's known for mentoring the greats and the best of the best, who has a crazy successful online business, who's built true wealth, who's been published in every major publication. Yes, let's just list out my resume. Thank you, God. But the thing you got to understand listening to me is it's not like I had any freaking clue what I was doing. I was just being led. I mean, I knew what I was doing as far as what I was teaching. I knew my content and what I was educating on and helping people with. But I was flying blind. Nobody told me you could deliver something in a group program over the phone. I just thought of the idea and I was like, surely this is something that exists. Surely people manage to put more than one person on a phone call together somehow. Surely I can write the things I want to teach them and email them a worksheet. Surely I can teach this thing in a group. You got to understand that everything I've done since then, everything that has come to fruition successfully, every way in which I'm known or positioned or seen, or I've been able to mentor and support and serve just the most incredible leaders, creators, entrepreneurs, messengers in the world, everything, all of it has been because whether or not I was consciously articulating that I was doing this or I was just doing it, I was appointing myself into who it was time for me to be. And then I was just becoming that version of me. I wasn't planning, preparing, mapping it all out in advance, and then dutifully ticking off the steps so that one day I could get there. No, I don't mean there wasn't any element of planning or preparation, because of course there has been along the way. But the big, point is, where right now are you trying to learn something, know something, do something, or become something? Now listen to this, so that you can then be seen in a certain way, known in a certain way, positioned in a certain way, make money in the next way, be published in the next way, speak at those events, do this thing, run those events, be that person. Where are you doing things so that one day you can get to be who God has already shown you are? Do you feel me? Where right now are you doing things so that one day you are allowed to be who God has already shown you who you are, who you've already been approved to be? It's pre-written, it's preordained, it is signed and sealed, it's already yours. God is not showing you so that you can then off you toddle on your own strength and with your own ideas that you're just getting from whoever you're learning from, so the collective group of people around you, as well as your own past experiences and also your own fears and limitations, and then you're trying to make a plan in order to step into becoming who God has already told you that you are. Do you feel what I'm saying here? Now, I'm not saying that there's not a responsibility, because of course there is a responsibility for you about who you are. God says, look at the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. Am I not providing for them all the time, even though they're not asking? They're just flying around living their lives. I don't remember what verse that is. Rachel said maybe you know what verse it is. Let's look it up. Birds of the air. Provision verse. Okay, Matthew 6:26. Behold this is New King James, I think. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable? All they're doing is being birds of the air. Now, somebody said last week, because I was looking at this scripture some weeks ago, and I was like, it's such a good reminder. And God had actually sent me a message. It was in the form of a chocolate chip cookie. It's a story. I don't know if you want to hear the story, but it was a message in the form of a chocolate chip cookie, a super-sized one, where I had tried to refuse this free dessert that was being hoisted upon me. It was a whole thing. And then they just kept trying to give me a free dessert. And I literally was sitting there feeling God saying, I'm providing for you even when I'm not asking. Maybe take the dessert. I was like, I don't want to take a chocolate mousse cake because I'm on a walk in a coffee shop with a backpack and then I'm getting a massage and I'll be carrying around a chocolate mousse cake in a backpack because I don't want to eat it. And then I'll be carrying it home to my mum because I was staying at my parents' at the time down in Melbourne. Anyway, so then finally they kept coming back because I had said no to the free dessert. And I was like super gracious. I was like, it's so nice of you. Give it to somebody else. I'm so full. Like my meal was huge. And then they came back again and I was like, okay, I'll take a cookie. I'll have this homemade supersized chocolate chip cookie. But God was saying to me, and then that verse was shown to me that day, like I'm providing for the bed. I'm providing for you even when you're not asking, right? You don't even have to ask. I'm providing for you. I'm taking care of you. And then I heard this verse referenced last week again, and somebody was pointing out something which I've taught on for years in a different way, which was, yeah, but the birds of the air are being birds, right? Like they are flying around. They're living into their purpose. They're living into their responsibility of contributing what they're contributing to this earth. They're not just chilling always in the nest, refusing to be birds. No, don't feel like flying today, feeling self-conscious about the shininess of my wings today. That little chickadee over there has shinier, prettier wings than me, so I'm just going to be chilling in my tree and not contributing whatever it is that birds are contributing. Sorry, I'm not a bird expert. If one of my brothers was here, maybe we could have a more profound conversation on this. But for sure, they're contributing something apart from their own, beauty and just the delight of birds flying through the air. So they're being who they're meant to be. They don't have to go and do all this extra stuff though, or store things up or save things up or plan in advance how to be in order to be provided for or in order to become who they just are. We don't have to be planning in advance, figuring out in advance, knowing the how, or making some sort of effort to prove that we're good enough, worthy enough, ready enough, or that we get to just be who we are. Who it is that God is trying you to be is who you already are today. It is also, though, a responsibility for you to step up and be that person. It is a responsibility for you to just cast aside, spiritually break off, and also just discipline yourself out of ideas that your wings are not shiny or pretty enough for you to be flying around being who you're meant to be, or that you don't fly fast enough, or that you're not this or that, or you wish you were a different bird. It is your job to get up and be who you are. Are we done with the bird analogy? Maybe not. We'll keep going, right? Yes, we can absolutely rise from the ashes and on repeat as well, be restored to our full glory in God. So what is your responsibility, right? Your responsibility is not to sit in your nest or on your butt and go, well, I am going to be what God has shown me that I'm going to be. I'm going to write that book. What's up? I'm going to say that thing. I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to create that thing. I'm going to step into my calling. I'm going to step into my purpose work. Oh, what about this? What about this? You being shown every day words that you could be sharing into people's lives that you know are going to help them make a difference. And what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I will. When I get my hair done, when I'm ready, when I'm more eloquent, when I can speak better, when I know the, next bit of clarity on my message, when I'm sure what I'm even going to be selling, when I decide what my new Instagram plan is. Are you serious? Like you're being shown stuff that is going to impact and help and transform and maybe save lives? And you're just like, oh, I will. I'm just not ready to leave the nest yet and my wings aren't shiny enough. And I deal with all my stuff about where I'm not good enough. Well, get God to deal with that. You go and do what you need to do for your healing and for your growth and for your overcoming. But that doesn't stop you getting out and flying around and being who you're meant to be in the meanwhile. It's not do one and then the other. Where are you pressing pause, not play, on the destiny that you've already been shown, on the appointment that's already been given to you, because you're in a deluded lie that you first got to do this and that and the other and get yourself to a certain point so that then you can be who God has already shown you to be. You need to stop it. And you need to repent for that, because that is not okay behavior on so many levels, right? And then what do you need to do? You need to decide. You need to decide that you will step into the day, the work, the message, the calling, the video, the creation, the conversation, whatever it is today. You will step into the appointment today. Oh, well, it's just that cat, blah, 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 blah. No, shut up. Stop it. There is a way for you to step into it today. Don't sit there and make any excuses about, well, she or me or anyone is like able to speak in a different way, show up in a certain way, has this or that or the other thing that you don't have. How do they have it? Because, well, in my case, certainly, because they stepped repeatedly into the appointment before I knew how I was ready. And so what happens, right? What happens? Life rearranges itself, and God will give you the tools, the message, the people, the knowledge, the support, the wisdom, whatever it is you need to ask for that you do ask for in faith, as well as like the practical tools and equipment, so to speak. You will be equipped as you step forward, not when you sit on your butt and wait. All that's going to happen is if you do that, you're going to get a numb butt, and it's going to be an ever-expanding numb butt and not expanding in a bubble butt happy way. So that's also annoying. You got to step forth. Today is the day. Today is the day. This is not a sermon where you go, yes, Queen, yes, Kat, I feel it, thank you, God. And then what? Then what are you going to do? Oh, well, oh, well, not enough people listening yet. Oh, well, I did, and then this happened. What are you doing it for anyway? Yes, you want business success, money success. Cool, you're allowed that. It's yours. It's done. But that's not actually the true reason why you're doing it. The true reason why you got to do it and why you are doing it, if you think about it, is because it's your soul calling. It is what you're here for. It is destiny. It's purpose. It's what you were designed for. And you just can't even live inside of yourself when you don't be who you were designed to be. Why? Because you were designed to be that. It's that simple. That itch is not meant to go away. Stop trying to make it go away. That's crazy. Right? So that's the reason. The reason, the purpose of purpose is purpose. Exactly, Bobby, because you can't not, right? The reason to say yes to destiny is to say yes to destiny. The fact that you can make millions of dollars easily on the internet these days and make a huge difference, even the fact that you can impact people's lives and change people's lives and even save souls, even that is not the highest purpose. The highest purpose is you being who you're meant to be for the glory of God. And you're not going to be comfortable living up inside of yourself if you're doing anything except for that. So that's a good starting point, right? What if I just did what I know I'm meant to do today, what's being shown to me today, what's illuminated on the path in front of me today? And, it's only ever the one next step that's illuminated. You can make up a whole bunch of other steps, but that's what you're doing. You're making them up based on intellect, knowledge, education, prior experience, current reality, context, environment, everybody else's opinion. And there might be some of that is valuable of some kind, but you're still not actually in it. You're not actually being responsive to flow. You're not actually being guided divinely when you do that. What you're doing really most of the time when you're doing that is dilly-dallying, or you're giving yourself a dopamine hit where you feel like you did something because you had a freaking conversation about it and made a whole bunch of plans and brainstorming, that none of which was you just showing up and putting your ass where it's meant to be and opening your mouth the way you're meant to and speaking forth what's meant to come out. So I would do that, and then I would just consistently do it. And then I would just look at what I'm doing and start to notice what I'm doing and notice where the fire is coming from. And then I'll be like, oh, you know what? I just ranted off on the internet for half an hour or 37 minutes. I have no idea what most of what I said was, but I'm sure it was pretty good. What if we just clipped some of that out? And that's a podcast for this week. What if we just clipped some of that out and use it for something else? What if we just use the energy and the activation and the flow that had now come through to go and do our other little tasky things that we want to do for the day? What if we understood that I don't even need to think about crazy things like, am I marketing, branding, monetizing properly or anything like that, if I just show up and speak the message that I'm meant to speak? And also that anything I do need to think about structurally or systematically will be shown to me as a result of the fact that I showed up and did what I was meant to do that day. Stop getting it backwards. All right, I'm going to go. What do I want to invite you into today? I'm going to write up my Byron Bay retreat. I'm doing a Byron Bay retreat. It's going to be late April or early May. It's going to be 7 amazing women. We're going to have an incredible, beautiful, massive, wonderful, fabulous house together, probably in the hinterlands of Byron. If you don't know Byron, then maybe you're not coming. I don't know. You can come from anywhere. People sometimes come to my one-day events, even in Australia, from other countries. So you can certainly come to an entire retreat together. Message me if you want to know more. I know the vision and the vibe of it, but I just haven't written an email or something. So I'll do that. But if you're like, what? She's doing a retreat. Sign me up now. Just message me and let's talk. I'll send you the details when I write them up. but I'll get in the conversation with you. What else is happening? DM me now. Would you like to come to my free event tomorrow? Don't worry, that one's not in Byron Bay. It's online, so you can make it. It's an alignment and Asskickery webinar. That's what that is. If you would like the link, just comment now. But if you're commenting on the Instagram live stream, you know your comment is going to disappear as soon as I finish the live. So it's not going to help anyone. So send me a message and just say alignment. You can say it once or twice. I'll understand what you mean either way. So I'm doing a free alignment and Asskickery event, which is tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow at this time plus 20 more minutes from right now, whatever time that is for you. I will send out a replay. So if that's too short notice and you can't make it, then send me a message and I'll send you the link. You can get on that list, and then you're going to get the live Zoom link to be on the live Zoom webinar. And you're going to get a replay as well, a little workbook, all the things. What this comes down to is simple. You know that you're not all in on the path you are meant to be walking, and you know that this is true spiritually. You know it's true in your business. You know it's true in your relationship with money. You know it's impacting on purpose, your connectedness to and clarity around it. You know it is impacting on your certainty and your ability to discern what God is saying, what your own spirit is needing, and what a soul truly on path would have you doing right now. You know that if you're honest, it is impacting on every area of your life. This event is free. It's happening tomorrow. DM me for the link. Just DM me the word alignment, or give it to me, Kat, or yes, Kat, or however you want to ask, as long as I understand what you're asking. And this is for you if you're ready to flick the switch now and go all in on you. So I'll send you a link. You can read a bit more about what it is and who it is for. Obviously, the creative entrepreneur who is ready to do such big work from the right place. So I don't do a free webinar or free Zoom or free online event, very often. I do it whenever I'm led to do it. I love to do it, actually. I might do it more often. I don't know. But I haven't done one in some months. I might have done one this year, maybe. So I know I did the free challenge. That's what I did. So I haven't done a free webinar Zoom since last year sometime. So send me a message. Even if you're watching this some days into the future, send me a message and I'll send you a link. You can get the replay. So that's happening. And then there's always lots of other cool stuff happening. But I don't know. If you want my help and you don't know what you want it with, but you're just like, Kat, I need some Kat. How can I work with you? What have you got? Send me a message. I'm always happy to have a chat. I have lots of different things. So it's not like just one thing that's for everyone. It's very much what is right for you, what price point is right for you, what are you ready for, what is it time for, let's go. But definitely, no matter who you are, where you're at now, this is about activating that next level of you regardless of what's already going on. So do not miss the free alignment and Asskickery webinar. Message me for that. All right. Oh, that identity switch free one was so good. And if anyone wants the identity switch free webinar link, then just send me a message and I'll get you that. Maybe it's on my links on my Insta bio. I'm not sure. All right. We're going to go. Have an amazing rest of the day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And do not forget, life is now. Press play.